what? I sympathise with what the message they're trying to get across.
Yeah.
I think we're all extremely concerned about the threat to the environment. I'm also extremely worried about the criminal threats in London and the huge amount of police resources that are used to police this protest. And we've seen over the weekend another set of tragic stabbings of teenagers in the capital. And we don't know if there wasn't such a strain on police resources that policing of other areas, might be better.
Mm-hmm.
You're a former Met police officer. How can you justify the use of resources for this protest?
The simple answer is proportionality, because this is such a huge threat. I did 34 years of identifying...
What is a huge threat? The threat to the environment or the
climate emergency. The climate emergency. We're talking about the extinction of the human race. There's nothing bigger than this. Which isn't funny, really, Christine. There's nothing bigger than this. All our science is telling us that this is extremely serious. We have to do something right now. When you look at the parallel...
when you say the extinction of the human race, do you...
Yes.
You seriously think that is
If we can't grow food and we have no water, there's not a lot we can do. Yes.
But most of the catastrophising, and one of it was led by one of your founders, who said that billions would be dying within a few years. No scientists are saying that. No scientists are saying billions will die. My issue is not the general cause, which I think is important. My issue is the way that these protests are playing out. 2 weeks of bringing London to its knees, storming Smithfield's market and getting rid of all the meat, dancing in the street like they're all having some sort of rave party. I don't think these optics help the cause. 1 day of big protest, fine. 2 weeks of this actually has the opposite effect, I think. Certainly for me, as someone who believes climate change is real and we have to do something about it, I'm put off by these protests. They annoy me.
Well, I'm sorry you're put off. In April, we did the same thing, just for 1 week. And as a result of that, we're in the media every single day. So it worked.
But when you say work, what did it do?
It brought the attention of the public to the climate emergency.
All right, Christine Hamilton.
Well, I don't think I described the Extinction Rebellion as villainous. I don't think that's a word I used, just to correct that. But no, I didn't. But what I think you are is sanctimonious and self-righteous, and your holier-than-thou attitude is utterly ludicrous. This government, the UK government, is at the forefront of taking measures to try and help climate change. They really are. And we only account for 2% of the carbon emissions in the whole world. Now, we have the advantage of the Industrial Revolution and we have all the advantages of modern society, which we all take for granted. China is wanting to catch up, and why not? Their middle classes, they want all the things that we've got. They're either building or planning to build 300 new coal-fired stations. So our little contribution as the UK is minute. You seem to think that your right to protest and bring central London to a halt, stop people getting to hospitals, tying up masses of police time, is more important than other people's right to get to work and go about their business. And I just think it is ridiculous. And I think you're behind the curve too, because business and government, what you should be doing is working with them to try and improve. I mean, take the
Would you like me to stop and answer?
Yeah, let's have a response to that, yeah. They're good points.
So the first one, you say the government's doing enough. 110 people a day, 110 people a day die from bad air. We're breaking the law.
They were doing more than most
We're
other
breaking the
governments.
law.
I didn't
with
say
the bad air
they were
quality.
doing enough.
110 people a day. We have scores of doctors in Extinction Rebellion that don't agree with you there. You haven't declared a climate emergency. The Parliament has, the government hasn't. You're investing 2.4 billion, you're allowing 2.4 billion to be invested into fossil fuels against Mark Carney's advice, your own Governor of the Bank of England.
Mark Carney is not God.
No, not at all. But he's advised... Do you go along with his advice? Do you discredit his advice? So everybody is telling the government or advising the government, and the government is doing absolutely
Paul, let me ask you this. OK, let me ask you this, Paul. Do you believe that Prince Harry said every carbon footprint counts?
Yes.
Right? And then he was caught using private jets and people laughed at him, right?
We're all hypocrites. We're all hypocrites.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. We had one of your colleagues on the other day, one of the founders, and she was simply incapable of answering a simple question about whether she has a TV. I wasn't trying to trap her.
I've got a TV.
Right, I was going to ask you, I mean, at what point do you lead by personal example?
When are you going to give up?
I mean, in your house, for example, how many TVs do you have? How many computers, all that kind of thing?
Yeah.
How many mobile phones?
One TV, I have a mobile phone. My wife has a mobile phone. On this rebellion, yeah, I've got a computer. Yeah.
So you get the argument. People say, well, hang on.
But that's not the major thing.
No, it's not the major thing. But if you think that every footprint...
It's adjusting your diet.
I get it. Do you fly?
I flew in January. I joined Extinction Rebellion in April, and I've cancelled.
So you won't fly again?
I will not fly again. If I do, it'll be an extreme.
OK, so here's my point. Every carbon footprint counts, right?
Yes.
And yet so many of the protesters do not lead by that example themselves. That hypocrisy does bother people.
I can't agree with you there.
Well, why?
Because I've been in since April. I've met hundreds of protesters. I've been on every action I can do, every protest I've been to police liaise, to make sure it's safe, to make sure they're aware of the illegality, if there is any.
Which is laudable. You know, I agree with the right to
and
protest.
Of the people that I've met, everybody's making changes. And we're just asking people to make small changes in their life to reduce their carbon.
But in terms of Christine's point, though, India and China are polluting like hell.
OK,
right?
let me answer
And they are a far bigger issue. How do we persuade them?
They're actually not. They're making big changes in China.
But you've seen the data.
But if you look at the amount of CO2 that's been pumped into the air historically, the UK and Europe are by far the biggest producers. We invented the steam engine, then America
because we started earlier, and China and India are trying to catch up.
But therefore, we're responsible, so we have to take the lead.
So what are you saying? That China and India should not try and aspire to all the comfortable...
India has banned petrol vehicles in all its big cities in order to clean the air. They've gone to electric vehicles. India has done that. We haven't done that.
Paul, I wonder whether there's some of the images that come from these protests which I think leave a lot of people confused. I get your points about the concern, but when you have people dancing and acting like they're at some kind of rave for 2 weeks, while people are literally not being able to get to work, not being able to get to hospital, not be able to perhaps do the stuff that you want them to do to help save the planet, that isn't a good... you can't possibly think that that's a good image. And to the fact that you were a police officer, do you not have some sympathy with the police officers who are policing this demonstration? Cressida Dick, the Metropolitan Police chief, says the force is stretched by this protest and that she hopes protesters would choose to either protest lawfully or go home.
Yeah. I don't agree with her, with what she says. She chooses the response that the police are doing at the moment. I don't agree with that. They should step back. They should allow us to protest. We've got stewards, we've got police liaison.
Hang on, those dancers aren't protesting.
No, I agree. I don't like the dancing, but we've got a lot of young people. They get a bit bored. There's loads of educational stuff going on, which they take part in.
Why aren't they either in school or at a job?
Because this is their future. They will be living through this. They have to deal with these challenges. We don't need a generation of snowflakes to deal with these challenges. We need people that will deal with these challenges, be strong enough to deal with these challenges. They want to know what's going on. They want to know the information. The government is not even admitting the information.
They're not getting the information by you blocking the middle of Westminster. I want to take up the issue of the suffragettes, by the way, because I think it is grotesque that you compare yourselves to the suffragettes.
I've never done that personally, but we are non-violent. The suffragists were non-violent. The suffragettes were violent. Because they used bombs. So I would compare us more with the suffragists because we're completely non-violent.
What would be a mark of success?
Yeah.
Because at the moment, it seems to me you're losing as much support as you might be gaining.
I don't agree. I've been there all week. I've been
but you're
working 20 hours a day.
Support you.
No, I'm talking to the public who we are disrupting.
Right.
Because when we disrupt them, it's about education. We stop them in their everyday business. Everyday business, for most people, is about putting food on the table, buying stuff, buying the next mobile phone. Sorry to say it, I'm exactly the same. It's about consumption. We consume more, we waste more, and we try and push ever-increasing...
Paul, what I was saying is...
That cannot go on a finite
I think you admitting you're personally a bit hypocritical...
We're all hypocritical.
No, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I would admire the protesters more if they just hold their hands up and go, we're all hypocrites, right? We're all doing too much. That appeals to me more as an argument.
If you speak to them, they do.
Right, but that appeals to me more as an argument than some of the way that some of these protests are going about it. Look, we've got to leave it there. It's a very interesting debate. I think the overriding thing I have is that I think we all agree that there's a problem, a big problem. It's how we most effectively affect change. Yeah. And that is where I think 2 weeks of protest, to me, seems to me excessive and a bigger draw on police resource than I would want the police to have right now,
Yes, but
with all the knife crime
But
going
we
on.
have to act now, and we're not doing anything.
Right.
Are you and your followers aware of your aim to have zero carbon emissions in 6 years' time? Are you aware of the impact that will have on everybody's lives? It will shut down modern life.
It will change modern life. It will change modern
It'll
life.
eradicate
it has to
modern
change.
life.
Yeah, but Paul, again...
that's better than
Stone Age.
extinction.
But Paul, on that point, though, if we actually do go
Lead
to
by
zero...
example.
We go to zero within 5-6 years, you're going to have to give up your
Your
television,
phones and
your
iPads.
phone...
Central heating.
Are you prepared to do... Because you haven't done so far.
Do you have
Are you
central
prepared to
heating?
do that?
It's more important that the government change
But are you
policies with industry.
I get it, but are you prepared to personally...
71... Yeah, I'm going to make... I'm making
Zero
changes
means
now.
zero.
I'm
You
making
understand
changes
that?
now.
Yeah, but are you giving them up?
I'm making changes now.
Yeah, but what does that
And
mean?
I'm working full-time to try and push this agenda.
I get it, Paul, but my point is, if we're going to get to zero carbon emissions in 5 years, that's the stated policy of Extinction Rebellion, you have to get rid of all this stuff now, don't you?
I'm going to try.
When you say try, I mean...
That's not good enough.
I have to
You're
make
out there...
my house more efficient for a start.
But you want
That's
us all to
probably
give up everything. Surely you have to start yourself.
It's not going to work
you
unless
use-
everybody works together.
But
We
why
all
should I?
have to
Why
do it.
should I give up anything in my house
Because-
if you, one of the Extinction Rebellion frontmen, doesn't do it himself?
Because if you do it as a small group of puritanical individuals and say, look, you should live like us, that's not going to work. We all have to make small changes. We're
Don't you
all
think it would be
hypocrites.
more? Wouldn't it be more powerful if you personally went, I'm giving everything up today. I'm going to live the carbon zero life I want everyone to lead.
Some people have. I'm not that good.
Okay.
But what we need is the government to take...
I admire the honesty, Paul.